Hi, I'm Navya. So I'll be taking a class for the physiology subject. This is for the second year students of the paramedical. And in this video, I'll be taking a class for the chapter first, that is the introduction. So this tells about the hemostasis definitions, and also we'll study about the cell structure. So let us know what is this hemostasis definition. Hemostasis definition is nothing but it is the uh, state of the study internal of both chemical and physical condition that will be maintained by the living system. So under this, we used to study the cell definition. This cell definition is nothing but it is defined as the smallest, otherwise a basic unit of the life that is very responsible for all the life processes. So this tells about the definition of the cell. And also we have many concepts, that is the structure of the cell. Yeah, so this is the structure of the cells. Here we have it. Yeah, so the cell membrane, this is the cell membrane, and the DNA structure, these are the lysosome, and this is the ribosome, mitochondria this is, and the Golgi apparatus, and the nucleus, this is the nucleus, and endoplasmic reticulum, this is the endoplasmic reticulum, and the cytoplasm. So these are the parts of the cell, the structure of the cell. So here it has the components that perform a specific task that is expected as the function. Let's define all the structure of the cells. Yeah. So the cell structure, this comprises individual components. Individual components with the specific functions. That is very essential to carry out the life processes. It's very needed. And let us know what are those components. So these components includes that I've already said, that cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, cell organelles. So these are the parts of this. Let us refer to the picture. Yeah. So cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus. So these are the member components of the cell structure. Yeah. So let us know the cell membrane. How does it work? So this cell membrane, what does it do means it just supports. It supports and it protects the cell, and also it controls the movement of the substance in and out of the cell. It involves in the movement, and also it separates the cell from the external environment. And the cell membrane is present in all the cells. And also the cell membrane, this will be the outer covering of the cell, and within which all other organelles such as the cytoplasm and the nucleus will be enclosed. As you see in the picture, yeah. So this cell membrane is the outer covered part which enclosed the nucleus. Yeah, cytoplasm, nucleus have been enclosed. And this is also referred to as the plasma membrane. Remember that cell membrane is also referred to as the plasma membrane. Cell membrane also referred to as the plasma membrane. And by the structure, we can tell it is where the porous membrane. It is a porous one, which allows the movement of the selective substance. That movement will be in and out of the cells. very porous due to the porous condition. So beside this, what happened? The cell membrane, this also it protects the cellular component from the damage and the very leakage part. It is protect from the damage or the leakage. And also in the structure, it forms the wall-like structure. So that between the two cells, as well as between the cells and the surroundings. And the plants are immobile, so their cell structures are well adapted to protect them from the external factors, and this helps to reinforce this function. And now this is cell membrane has been completed. Now let us look on this cell wall. Yeah, so this cell wall is a very most part of the plant cell structure. So this is made up of the cellulose. These are the main components we can tell. Cellulose, hemicellulose, and the pectin. So these are the components. It has been made up of the cell wall. Yeah, let us go through some other more detailed one. Yeah, then it is very rigid and also the stiff structure surrounding the cell membrane. And also it protects the shape and also it support to the cell and protects them from the mechanical shocks and injuries. The cell wall protects from the injuries and from the mechanical shocks. Other concept is a cytoplasm. This cytoplasm is very thick and also very clear and jelly-like substance that will be present inside the cell membrane. And most of the chemical reactions that will be within a cell that takes place in the cytoplasm. And the cell organelles such as like endoplasmic reticulum and vacuoles, these are the cell organelles we can call, and mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell, we call this as a powerhouse of the cell. Powerhouse of the cell. And ribosomes, uh, and all these are suspended within this new cytoplasm. Under this cytoplasm, it will be suspended. And the nucleus, the next part is the nucleus. Yeah, so nucleus, it contains the hereditary material of the cell, the DNA, the most main important part. And the main function is that it sends the signals to the cell, and that will grow, that will mature, and that will divide, and that will die. So first send the signal, and it goes on the process. And this nucleus is surrounded by the nucleolus and envelope that separates the DNA from the rest of the cells. So this is how the nucleus function will happen. And also the nucleus, it protects the DNA and is an integral component of the plant cell structure. And here we have the cell organelles. Let us know what are cell organelles. So the cell organelles, these are composed of the cell organelles, means a various part of the cell organelles. And what does the cell organelles will do means it perform certain function, some certain particular specific function, and that function is to carry out the life processes, and the different cell organs along with its principal functions are as follows. The cell organelles and its function, let us look on this. Nucleolus, let us know about the nucleolus. This nucleolus, this is a site of the ribosome synthesis. It is also involved in the controlling cellular activities and the cellular reproduction, the controlling and the reproduction. And next is a nuclear membrane. This nuclear membrane, it protects the nucleus, the middle of the cell. So it controls, it protects the nucleus. But how means? By just forming a boundary, just making a boundary between the nucleus and the other organelles. That is how it protects the nucleus. And we have the chromosomes. We have the chromosomes. Yeah, these chromosomes play a crucial role in determining of the sex of the individual. You just want to know male or female. This plays an important role, and each human cells, this contains of 23 pairs of chromosomes. There will be total number of chromosomes will be 23. And next is the endoplasmic reticulum. This endoplasmic reticulum, this is involved in the transportation of the substance throughout. So that substance that will be throughout the cell, and it also plays a primary role in the metabolism of the carbohydrates and the synthesis of the lipids. Lipids is nothing but the fats, oils, and steroids and the proteins and the Golgi bodies. These Golgi bodies, these are also called as the cell's post office, as it is involved in the transportation. So this is involved in the transportation of the materials within the cell, not from the outside of the cell, that will be within the cell. Yeah, Golgi bodies that is. And now as the ribosomes. Ribosomes, these are the protein synthesis of the cell. The ribosomes means it is the protein synthesis of the cell. Next is the mitochondria. As I already said, this is also called as the powerhouse of the cell. And it is also called because that it produces ATP. That is the cell energy currency. And we have a lysosome. This lysosome, it protects the cell. How? That is by engulfing the foreign bodies that will be entering the cell, and also helps in the cell renewal. Therefore, this is also known as the cell suicide bag. So this is also called as the cell suicide bag. Yeah, and also here we have the chloroplast. Chloroplast, what does it do? What does it? How does it function? Work is, so these are the primary organelles for the photosynthesis, giving color to the substance. So it contains a pigment that is called as a chlorophyll. Chloroplast that contains the pigment known as the chlorophyll. This is, we all know, this is used for the pigment of the green color of the plant. And vacuoles. This vacuoles, it mainly stores the food and the water and other waste materials that will be in the cell. Yeah. And we have another concept that is plasmodesmata. So yeah, let us know some detailed version about this. Plasmodesmata. So this is the plant cell that will be surrounded as that by the cell wall, and it doesn't have any contact with another. So throughout the wide stretches of the plasma membrane. So however, what do we call? We call this as a plasmodesmata. That is the singular. We call this as a plasmodesma. So this is the places where a hole is punctured in the cell wall to allow the direct cytoplasmic exchange between the two cells that want to exchange between the two cells. We have to use it. Yeah. So this is what plasmodesma in a singular form, exchange between the, yeah. So this is the one. So where a hole is punched in the cell wall, that is used to direct cytoplasmic exchange between the two cells. So that is why we call it as a pathway through the cytoplasm. So this image, the image of two cells, those are connected by the plasmodesma. So showing this shows like how the materials can travel from the cytoplasm of the one cell to the next cell. That is how it works. This plasmodesmata, these are linked with the this is lined with the plasma membrane. So this plasma membrane that is very continuously with the membrane of the two cells, and this plasmodesma. So where this plasmodesma, this has a thread of cytoplasm. So that will be extending throughout it, and it containing and the even thinner thread of the endoplasmic reticulum. And the molecules also below a certain size, and that will be very freely, that will be able to move very freely. And the size limitations will be varying among the plants, and also the cell types within the plants also. And the gap junction. This gap junction in animal cell, we are talking about animal cells, those are the lot like plasmodesmata in the plant cell. So they are the channels that will be like a channel. So between the neighboring cells that allow for the transportation of the maybe ions and the water and other substance also it allows it. So that is why the gap junction and the plasmojava, those are the somewhat quite different. And in case of vertebrates, this gap junction that will develop. So when the set of the six membrane proteins that is called connexin that form an elongated knot-like structure that was called as a connexon. But when the poles or the drawnate holes of the connexitome is in adjacent animal cells that are aligned, then the channel that forms between the cells, that is how it predicts from the gap junction. And we'll see some other concepts where I have discussed about the conic zone. This is a closed, this is the open, closed and open structure. Yeah, this will be the gap junction channel, and this is the extracellular space where it has been obtained while just closing in the opening. The plasma membrane one, this will be the two, and in between this is the gap junction channel, and the upper part is the connect zone. Yeah, and in this picture we can imagine, we can just see there are, this is a plasma connector membrane. So here we can observe it has the two cells that are held between the gap. So what happened? Where two, this is the one and two. Okay. So this is a conic zone one and two. So where these two conic zones from the different cells, when they meet each other, they can form the channel that will be leading from one cell into the next cell. So this gap junction, these are the particularly very important in the cardiac muscle, and the electrical signal to the contracts spreads and rapidly between the heart muscle cells, or the iron pass through the gap junction, allowing the cells to contract in the tandem. And next we have the tight junction. Yes, tight junction. So here, this tight junction is used to create the watertight seal. So that watertight seal that will be between the two adjacent animals. So between the two adjacent animal, and this tight junction cells will be very tightly, so it held very tightly against each other, that will be by many individual groups of tight junction proteins called as a cloudins, so each of which interacts with a partner that will be in a group opposite with the cell membrane, and a group will be arranged into the strands that may form of the branching network with a very large number of the strands that will be making with a very tighter seal, and also a superscript that will be the superscript. Yeah, this will be the image of the membrane of the two cells that are together with a tight junction. So here, the tight junctions are like rivals, and those are arranged in the multiple strands. These are the multiple strands we can see. These are the multiple strand. Yeah, those are the multiple strand. And the purpose of this tight junction is to keep the liquid from escaping between the cells. And also it allows a layer of the cells. For example, the tight junction that may between the epithelial tissue, epithelial cells that will be lining the bladder, that may